Vietnam veterans are taking a firm stand against Donald Trump in one of his self-glorification projects, and I have that and another story of military disrespect by the Donald coming up next. I'm Dan, and thank you for watching Occupy Democrats. To get all of our reports covering the commander-in-chief of corruption and the chaos he commands each day, please hit that subscribe button. Let's begin with what the draft dodger said yesterday that has veterans shaking their heads in disbelief and disgust. Check out the moment that can also be filed under self-glorification.
The military, my first time. I said, why would it take 4 years? They said, well, I would. So I decided to go to Iraq, and I flew to Iraq. I was extremely brave. In fact, so brave I wanted to give myself the Congressional Medal of Honor. I said to my people, am I allowed to give myself the Congressional Medal of Honor? And you know, I've given out so many to guys that are seriously brave. I mean, they come in with the arms are missing, the legs are missing. The stories are so unbelievable. And I said, no, it's a little stretch if I gave myself one of them. But it's one of those things. Someday I'm going to try. I'm going to test the law. Brandon, I'm going to say, let's give it a shot. Maybe I'll win in court after everyone sues me, if the radical left lunatics sue me.
And then the sweaty man went on to explain how he's joking and how the media will paint a false picture. And then he does a weird weave about his mortality. Have a listen, and then I'll share what some Vietnam vets are doing to thwart his monumental plans for self-glorification.
Now watch. The fake news, you know I'm having fun. The fake news will say, Donald Trump wants to give himself the Congressional Medal of Honor. But he was rebuffed by the audience, who stood up and booed the hell out of him. No, they say that kind of stuff. It's amazing. They say, if I'm sarcastic, even a little bit, they make it sound. You know, I said one thing the other day, a little while ago, a month ago, 2 months ago. I said, I don't think I'm going to make it to heaven in front of a massive group of people, 56,000 people. And they're all saying, oh, what does he mean? I don't think I'm going to make it to heaven. I'm doing a great job for a lot of people, but I don't think so. I'm just not worthy of heaven. I'm not going to make it. And I was having a good time going, you know, I was having fun. I hope to make it. But I doubt I will, to be honest with you. A lot of you will. I'm not so sure. But I was having fun. The New York Times has a front page story. Donald Trump is now questioning his mortality. They made it like I was totally... So you can't joke.
Trump is talking more and more about his mortality these days, and that sets up our featured story about a monument he's planning for Washington, D.C. to solidify his presidential and real estate legacy.
A group of Vietnam veterans is suing to stop President Trump from building a new arch near Arlington National Cemetery. The lawsuit claims Trump has yet to seek the necessary approvals and claims the arch would dishonor those buried at Arlington. They also say the arch would obstruct the sightline from the Lincoln Memorial to Arlington Cemetery, which the group says was carefully designed to symbolize the unification of the country after the Civil War. This after a massive banner with President Trump's picture was hung from the Department of Justice building in Washington. The DOJ says it is celebrating its, quote, historic work to make America safe again at President Trump's direction. But the banner is being criticized because the Justice Department has long tried to demonstrate independence, though it is an executive agency.
And here's what the principals of the lawsuit have said. Integrity matters, integrity of the process and integrity of the result. To me, the president's planned arch will be a continuous visual affront to this principle and a personal affront to people like me who have fought for this nation and devoted their careers to serving it. Michael Lemon, a U.S. Army veteran who served in the Vietnam War, said in a press release, I deeply feel a duty to my fellow veterans buried at Arlington National Cemetery to honor their sacrifice and to protect their memory from being overshadowed by this vainglorious monumental arch. Sean Burns, one of the plaintiffs and a U.S. Navy veteran who served in the Vietnam War, said in a statement, I fear this massive expression of domination will overshadow the values and spirit of those who valiantly served our country and lie in Arlington National Cemetery. Duty, honor, sacrifice, and love of country. John Gunderson, also a plaintiff and veteran of the U.S. Army who served in the Vietnam War, said Arlington National Cemetery and the view to Lincoln Memorial should not be desecrated by the planned arch. Donald Trump was taking deferments during the Vietnam War while these guys were taking on fire. And currently he props himself up with banners and monuments befitting those military dictators he admires in less sophisticated countries. And speaking of less sophisticated, no amount of saying I'm kidding changes the fact that he's not kidding about winning the Nobel Peace Prize, the Congressional Medal of Honor, and other shiny objects of adoration that capture his childlike and self-aggrandizing fancy.